Welcome to Dare, the show for startup leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs who dare to shape the future. Dare is brought to you by the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network, OEN, and Darwaft, the superpower tech team that can make your vision a reality. The Dare podcast is excited to welcome today Joseph Wyno, the executive director of the Oregon UAS Accelerator, which is a grant-funded nonprofit designated as a center of innovation excellence by the state of Oregon. Their mission is to support startups, especially focused on the future of unmanned aerial and robotic systems. So super exciting to have Joseph here. Let's get going. Welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here, Ned. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, your mandate sounds really interesting. Unmanned aerial and robotic systems. Are you
Yeah.
building Skynet? That's what I want to know.
Well, I always like to start out by asking my audience, listeners, and viewers if they've ever seen the original Marvel movie X-Men. The one with Storm and Cyclops and
Yeah.
Wolverine, and many of you have. And, the movie's about a quirky old guy. His name is Charles Xavier. Some people call him Professor X, and he's on this never ending quest in search of individuals who have these
Yeah.
very special abilities and skills, right? And this is the important part, if refined, will change the world as we know it, right?
Right. Right.
He provides them with funding, he provides them with resources, he provides them with state of the art facilities, and even a roof above their head to give them the very best chance at success. He has a school, and the school is in the middle of nowhere, and
Hmm.
probably for a good reason, right? So I can draw numerous parallels between X-Men, the movie, and the Oregon UAS Accelerator. So
Wow, that's quite the comparison, Joseph.
yeah. And so, I'm Joseph Wyno, the executive director. I am the quirky old person, the Professor X. And I'm on, just like Charles, I'm on this never ending quest to find individuals, in my case, startup founders who have these special abilities and skills that, if
Hmm.
refined, will change the world as we know it. We provide them with coaching, mentoring, funding, resources, a state of the art facility, a roof above their head, all in an effort to give them the very best chance at success. We're located in a rural Eastern Oregon town, Pendleton, Oregon,
Uh-huh.
population 17,000 people. Many will argue that we're in the middle of nowhere,
Hmm.
and we have a running joke. We're in the sea of gluten here, right? So wheat fields as far as the eye can see. But guess what? We're in the very best place to be to test unmanned aerial and robotic systems.
Right, because you aren't going to take out a neighborhood if you accidentally have a drone go sideways, right?
No, I mean, the worst that could happen is a wheat field catches on fire, but we have a fire department on premise to put those things out, but that doesn't happen very often. As advanced as the technology is with autopilot systems, rarely ever happens.
Yeah, but tell us about other types of projects that are launched there. We've talked about automated systems, but
Yeah.
do entrepreneurs have to come out to you like the X-Men have to go to Charles Xavier?
Yeah. And so we have two cohorts that we host a year. Those cohorts are between 5 and 7 startup innovators. They
Hmm.
are generally so, I'd like to say that I'd like to differentiate the fact that we're not an incubator.
Oh.
And so the big differentiation between incubation and acceleration is incubators are founders who are still at that back of the napkin ideation, iteration stage where they have an idea. Let's see if that idea plays out. Let's see if it works. We're beyond that. So we're an accelerator. We are focusing on seed stage startups that have a minimal viable product or a prototype that works.
Hmm.
Generally speaking, they have some type of funding, either through grants or through friends and family round or even a small seed round. They're coming to us now to test flight, to help them become better business people, recognize great investment, and commercialize and scale their businesses.
So tell us about some of your recent successes or companies that have actually worked with you.
Oh, I mean, this past cohort that we had, well, first of all, we're just about to accept the 5 innovators into our next cohort, which begins in March, and they'll be with us for 13 weeks, and their journey with us will end at the end of May. But the past cohort, we had some great success stories. We had a computer scientist from, I think he's St. Petersburg, Florida, that
Mhm.
came to us. He had this innovation. Our business and investor readiness mentors, very experienced people on staff, helped him pivot his idea. And that's very common in the startup world is, there's two things you do. You either pivot or persevere. And they helped him pivot. And he created this, the name of the company is Zing Drones. And the name of the founder is Ian Anase. And Ian created a set top scanner that allows you to see drones in the sky in 3 dimension and their flight paths. And equally important, it shows you exactly within a square foot where the operator of those drones are. So
Wow.
um, he demonstrated this technology at the Eastern Oregon Correctional Institute. They did a live demo using his scanner of a illegal drone incursion into the prison yard, dropping contraband.
Wow.
Um, and he was able to tell exactly the flight path of that drone and exactly where that operator was. The prison was so excited about the opportunity that he now has 3 prisons under a paid pilot study, including Salem. And now he's opened up his national monitoring center, hiring local people here in Pendleton to monitor prisons, not only in Oregon, but prisons across the country as they come online.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. That's a great story. Another great story is we have another company. It's a local Beaverton, Oregon company called Range Air, and Joel Mulkey is the founder. He has a pretty extensive telecommunications background. He's figured out a way to, as a payload, mount high speed internet connectivity onto a drone and have it loiter above wildfire hotspots, and anyone within a 2 mile radius cone underneath that drone now has high speed internet capability. So no more do firefighters have to rely on two-way radios that may or may not work behind tree stands or mountain ranges. Now they have complete high speed connectivity to help them fight fires and, save lives.
Wow. So the advanced kinds of technologies that your people are working with, these didn't exist like, 15, 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
I assume that this center of excellence is relatively new, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, drones have been with us for a while. Robotic systems have been with us for a while, but in terms of their usefulness and their ability to impact, again, the way we live has pretty recent, right? I mean, we're still trying to figure out how drones will fly in national airspace, but that will be, FAA is working hard on that. We're pretty confident that they'll understand that. I think we're realistically 3 to 5 years away from drones and robotic systems actually, being a part of our society, flying and crawling over dense populated areas.
Right, but these kind of autonomous or semi-autonomous systems are really
Oh,
changing the landscape, they have the potential to change the future.
yeah,
So I've just kind of said something there. Could you
yeah.
elaborate on what that could mean in terms of what that future might look like?
Yeah, I think in terms of, the tasks that are, I don't want to say mundane, but repetitive tasks or dangerous tasks. Like, for example, we're starting to see a lot of drones be used in infrastructure inspection, construction, energy, and so on, where, in the past, a human would have to climb up on a bucket and go check high voltage wires and so on. Now you have drones that have these very sophisticated payloads and cameras that are able to do that unmanned. In a construction site, very busy, very dangerous areas, you have unmanned rovers that are carrying supplies, are carrying payloads to be able to survey construction sites, tunnels, bridges, buildings, wind turbines. All of these areas are going to be impacted by drones, not to mention delivery, not only of, the things that we think of like food items and so on, but critical delivery of, for example, plasma, organs.
Mhm.
All of these things are going to be impacted by unmanned aerial and robotic systems in the future.
So, this is a really interesting change to our economy as things start to be able to be automated, or you're able to put something into a drone that will fly across town. It almost seems like the change that happened when the internet came along, that people suddenly didn't have to rely on paper. They could go online and just find something. By the
Yeah,
same token, this is almost changing the way that small tasks get done, changing the way that you can get something physical across town. Maybe
yeah,
in the future, UPS drivers could go away and you suddenly have drones everywhere.
yes.
Do you see any downside to those changes?
I don't think there's any downside to those changes whatsoever. It's completely upside to those changes because not only will our capabilities increase and become much more efficient, but it will help us as humans be more productive at what we do. So what I'm saying is, people shouldn't be afraid that unmanned technologies will displace, humans in doing these type of tasks. I think what it will result in is these unmanned aerial and robotic systems will augment what we already do and allow us to do more.
Great. So that augmentation is going to change the landscape. I guess I'm going to push you a little bit on that, because one critique that I hear is that people in technology end up inventing things that are in science fiction books
Uh-huh.
for no good reason.
Yeah,
Meme that the science fiction author writes a book called Don't Invent the Torment Nexus. And
yeah,
then, someone comes out and says, Hey, I just invented the Torment Nexus from that
yeah,
book, you know?
right.
So I do see that there could be unintended consequences. And so I guess one of my questions is ethically, how do we anticipate those and how do we mitigate those
Yeah.
and make the world better for human life and for human beings?
Yeah, so it's exactly what our mandate is at the Accelerator. So we have a group of very intelligent, very skilled, very experienced coaches and mentors, both from the business and investor side, but also from the technical side. And so, startup founders create innovation or integration, and sometimes they're creating more problems with their solution than they are solving a problem, right? So what we do through our curriculum and through working with them on one-on-one mentoring and coaching sessions is to understand exactly what they're doing and to have them understand, hey, is this an area that you really want to be innovating in? Will this really impact humankind in a positive way?
Mhm. And so people in your program do kind of think these things through. It's not just a, "Hey, we can invent it. Let's
Yeah.
invent a Blade Runner," or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, many, many ethical considerations. It's kind of like the same ethical considerations around the development of generative AI and machine learning, right? So
Mhm.
there are certain things that we talk about with the founder over the course of the 12 weeks they're with us, and they really have to convince us
Mm.
that they have a really good use case or a great customer market fit for us to believe in them and to help them start to craft this story and pitch that they will make in a compelling, cogent, and confident way to investors and strategic partners that they face, right?
Yeah, so this brings me to the question of what does the whole process look like? Like you've touched on a couple different things here, but like
Yeah.
if I have a startup that's doing something in robotics or drones, autonomous
Mhm.
vehicles, and I apply to the program, first of all, I'm going to skip over the kind of rigorous application process
Yeah.
because I think people can find that on your website. But once I
Yeah.
get in, then what
Mhm.
happens? What's the process going to be like for me to continue to refine my company and my product?
Yeah, and so it really starts from week 1 of our curriculum. So What we've done is not only do we have our business and investor readiness mentors a part of the curriculum from week one, but we also have a graphic designer that has very special skills in business pitch development, pitch presentation development. So they're embedded from week one as well. And so as the startup founder is learning about the various aspects of becoming business ready and investor ready, in the process are also refining their pitch deck. So week by week, as week goes on, at the end of the 12 weeks, not only are they better as a result of this, business ready, investor ready, grant ready, their pitch decks are ready to go. And it all culminates in an event that we host that for each cohort that graduates, it's an investor event. Our last investor event was called the Pendleton Investor Roundup. And it just so happened it coincided with the world famous Pendleton Roundup Rodeo. And we had about 100 people in attendance, 25 of which were accredited investors looking to expand their deal flow and include startup innovators in this unmanned space. And we're happy to say that one of the five innovators that we hosted is now in due diligence with an Oregon investment group.
Fantastic. Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds like a great path. So you have this cohort of people that you're working together with, going through this process, and then at the end, you're able to show off your tech, and you're able to potentially meet investors or take your company to the next level, right?
Yeah, Ned. I mean, you have to understand, most of the founders that come to us are from very focused academic fields. They're
Mm.
either computer scientists, aeronautical engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. And up to this point, they really haven't had a need to interface with humans per se, right? So
Right,
not
right. It's just
only
ideas in a lab, right?
yeah, and they may not be the best business people. So not only are I'd like you to think of us as a finishing school, right? We teach these founders about everything from, fiscal education to your business plan, your market opportunity, your problem statement, your unique value proposition, all of these things in addition to how do I interact with an investor? How do I interact with a strategic potential partners. So and by the way, we have this ecosystem that encourages collaboration, camaraderie, sharing of ideas, helping to solve challenges together. They cohabitate together for 12 weeks. It's not a
Mhm.
virtual cohort. So they actually live in Pendleton. They move here for a 12-week, 3-month period. And guess what? And it's no surprise. Some of the best bonds and friendships are born as a result of our program. These founders become very close with one another.
Right, right. That sounds pretty intense and pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, just to go back to the X-Men metaphor,
Yeah.
you're kind of training people in how to use their powers, huh?
We are, looking for those individuals that have these special abilities and skills that, if refined through our program, will literally change the way we live or change the world as we know it. And it's this never ending quest that we're on to find these. We know they're there, and it's just making that connection. We have the people within our organization to understand, and indicate individuals who have this ability to kind of change the calculus, if you will, and improve our lives for the better.
Fantastic. Well, we're kind of coming to the end of our time, Joseph. I'm
Yeah.
curious, you could tell me what you dare to dream. What future are you imagining?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you bring that up because we are about to launch a very exciting program. It is the Counter UAS Challenge. So it's going to be called the Proven in Pendleton Counter UAS Challenge. And we're going to have startup founders come around from across the country to pitch their counter UAS. So if the viewers are not familiar or the listeners are not familiar with what counter UAS is, counter UAS are technologies and systems that help detect, track, and deter unwanted drones are, any type of unmanned vehicle from being in a space. So law enforcement, the military, secured environments, so on and so forth. And it's just not hardware, it's software related, and it's an exciting event. It will be launched here. So the event will be called the Proven in Pendleton Counter UAS Challenge. And you have to be a US based and US based company, and you must be working on a prototype or advanced solution. And the solutions must address at least one counter UAS capability, which would mean detection, tracking, and or mitigation. The finalists that we choose, we'll pick the top 5 finalists, and we'll pay for them to travel to Pendleton, Oregon on site to demonstrate and make their final pitch, which will take place on April 23rd through April 26th. And guess what? The prize money, the winner of this competition will receive $100,000 grant prize.
Wow, that's fantastic. So that's a grant. Is that from the state of Oregon, that grant?
Yes, so it's a special innovation grant from the state of Oregon, and the second place winner will receive $120,000, and they'll get 1 month of free range time at the Pendleton UAS test range. What makes this super interesting and ties it to the state of Oregon is that the state of Oregon and a designated strategic partner will have like 6 months right of refusal for investment opportunities in the winning solution.
Mm.
And then during this period, winners must notify the Oregon UAS Accelerator in writing of any third-party investments that they received. And so we're going to tie it to Oregon. If they win in Oregon, and they're going to have to work with Oregon investors and Oregon strategics, and they will have an opportunity to deploy here in Oregon. So it's going to be quite a challenge. And applications will go live on March 15th. And we will have the 5 finalists come out to Pendleton, Oregon to demonstrate and make their pitch to a panel of expert counter UAS judges on April 23rd through 26th, 2025.
Fantastic. So it's coming up fast. So
It
get your
really is
application.
coming up fast. Yep.
Yep, get your application in, and you could be part of that demonstration in April, and you could be part of the next cohort.
Yep. If you're a winner, you'll receive significant funding to kind of commercialize and help you scale your innovation and make an impact on Oregon. What we do is it's our mission to make Pendleton, Oregon, the preeminent center or hub for UAS and robotic development. And by doing this, put Oregon itself on the map as a hub for unmanned aerial and robotic system development.
Thanks for your time, Joseph. Thanks for the
Sure.
intro and the overview of the UAS Accelerator.
You're very welcome, Ned. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks to our guests today for their insights into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We wish you all the best in your startup journey. The Dare Show is brought to you by the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network and by Darwaf, the superpower tech team that can make your vision a reality. Visit us at oen.org or at darwaf.io. Thanks again for listening. Till next time.